Pull up a chair, folks. We are headed back to Nashville. We are standing inside Columbia Studio B. It is a cold morning, February 6th, 1980. A battered voice meets a stubborn song. Country music is about to change. The seed of He Stopped Loving Her Today started years earlier. Songwriters Bobby Braddock and Curly Putman wrote a story about a man who loved a woman so long he had to die to stop. The trouble kept showing up. At the ending, the death fell too early. Producer Sherrill kept saying, "Move the death, let her show up at the funeral, make the twist land at the last moment." Draft after draft. Billy carried a thick notebook of rewrites. He waited for the version that rang true. George Jones heard the song and hated it. Too sad, too slow, too morbid. That was his first read. Remember where George stood in 1979, divorced from Tammy Wynette, fighting his demons, off country radio for the most part. Billy believed anyway. He heard the spot where George's voice could crack, just enough to let truth seep in. Now we are in the room. Columbia Studio B. Billy at the board. The A-team in place. Hargus Pig Robbins at the piano. Pete Drake with that sighing steel. Background vocal stack in the corner. Jordan Ayers style. Strings on call, but only if the story needs air. George steps to the mic. First take, not it. George slips into another melody to needle the producer. They cool down. Billy looks through the glass. Try it again, slower, cleaner. Second pass, the verses land. They still need the spoken recitation, that quiet talk in the middle of the record. It takes time. Words moved, breaths counted, where to pause on the word today, where to let the room breathe. Piece by piece, they build it. No extra sugar. Only the slow walk of a man toward his last goodbye. Epic Records releases the single on April 14, 1980. It slides onto the Billboard Country chart that month. DJs tell their listeners, hang on till the last line. When that last line lands, phone lines light up. Back announces get quieter. This is not a barroom weeper. This is a graveside truth. By July 5, 1980, George Jones is back on top. #1 on the country chart. His first solo, #1 in 6 years. You can almost hear the town exhale. The greatest country singer alive has been handed the greatest song of his career, and he did not drop it. Now the awards arrive. The fall, the Country Music Association calls it Song of the Year. The next year, the CMA does it again, back to back, the only song to win that trophy twice. The Academy of Country Music names it Single of the Year and Song of the Year. At the 1981 Grammys, George wins Best Male Country Vocal Performance, all from a record he once swore nobody would buy. Let us talk impact. This record reset the bar. It proved you could dress a hard country story in velvet strings and still keep the dirt under your nails. It made narrative the main event again, right when some folks thought story songs were fading. Every singer who cut a big ballad after 1980 ended up chasing the ghost of this record, whether they meant to or not. Inside Nashville, it taught a quieter lesson. Patience makes classics. 2 writers who kept moving the twist. A producer who heard the finish when the writers were still on lap 2. A singer who did not trust the song until he had to live inside it. Craft, community, time. That is the hidden engine of this record. The legacy did not stop with trophies. In 2008, the Library of Congress added the single to the National Recording Registry. Culturally and historically significant, they said. Critics keep placing it near the top of greatest country songs lists. But you do not need a list. You only need that final line and the way the voices fall back to let George speak like an old friend at a funeral. Now here's the tricky part. Some accounts say they started work in 1979 and finished pieces later. Others point to February 6th, 1980 as the day the record came into focus. The best reading goes like this. It was a months-long process, with rewrites and pickup moments, all pointing toward that winter session. Everybody cared enough to get it right. 3 minutes and 15 seconds. That is the running time. In those minutes, a career climbs out of the ditch and a genre finds its compass. The song is sad, yes, but more than that, it is precise. It knows where to pause. It knows where to leave the camera. It does not flinch. If you have ever sat in a parked car and waited for a song to finish, you know the feeling. He stopped loving Her Today begins as a rumor about a man who could not let go. It ends as a perfect record. Next time you hear those first bars, tip your hat to Braddock, to Putman, to Sherrill, and to a singer who finally believed a song could save him. Because this one did.
And soon they'll carry him away. He stopped loving her today.